I had planned to just do Halloween themed patterns in October, but a couple of the ones that I was designing just turned into a big disaster. So instead, have some cows. I suppose they could be Halloween themed if you tried hard enough. Maybe one of them's haunted. My money would be on the brown one. Look into that face. Look into those dark, soulless eyes and tell me that's not the face of pure evil. Anyway, we're going to be making the standard one color cow in this pattern, but if you would like to add some color changes like in these examples here, yeah, I have a lot of cows. My niece found out I was making them and I had some yarn to use up. Who am I to say no to a 4-year-old? Anyway, so we'll be making this version with one color, but all you will have to do to create the multicolored version is just to add in some random color changes. You'll do that on the legs, in the body, and in the head. Alrighty, let's dive straight into the pattern. Grab your hooks and let's get started. To make a little cow, you're going to need a 3.5mm hook, scissors, stitch markers, a needle, pins, stuffing, a pair of 14mm safety eyes, as well as yarn in a minimum of 4 colors. You're going to need one color for the hooves, one color for the body, one color for the horns, and another color for the mouth. However, if you would like to add color changes to your cow, you're going to need more than one color for the body. The first piece of our cow that we're going to make is the head, and we're going to start that off by putting 6 single crochet in a magic circle for round 1. And 6, close that up. Round 2 is 6 increases, and an increase is just 2 single crochet in the same stitch. I'm going to do 1 single crochet in the first stitch from round 1, and then I'm going to go back into the same stitch and do a second. You're going to repeat this 5 more times for 6 increases in total. For round 3, we're going to begin by doing 3 single crochet. I'm just going to pop my stitch marker into the first one there. 2, and then 3. And then we're going to do 3 increases in a row. An increase in the next stitch. Another increase in the stitch after that. And then 1 more increase. Then we're just going to repeat that same pattern again. We're going to do 3 single crochet and finish the round with 3 increases. Round 4 is 2 single crochet, 1 increase repeated 6 times. Upon completing round 4, we should now have 24 stitches in our round, and round 5 is just going to be 24 single crochet. Whoops, sorry cow. Round 6 is 3 single crochet and an increase repeated 6 times. Round 7 and 8 are each 30 single crochet. Round 9 is 4 single crochet and an increase repeated 6 times. Rounds 10, 11 and 12 are each 36 single crochet. Round 13 is 4 single crochet and a decrease repeated 6 times. We're going to begin with our first lot of 4 single crochet, 2, 3 and 4, and then we're going to crochet an invisible decrease. For that, we're going to go under the front loops of the next 2 stitches, and the front loop is the part of the stitch that's closest to you, this section here. We're going to go under the first front loop, then under the second front loop, yarn over and pull through both of those front loops. And now you should have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over again, pull through those 2 loops, and that's how you crochet an invisible decrease. And we're just going to keep repeating 4 single crochet, 1 decrease until we reach the end of our round. Round 14 is 30 single crochet. Round 15 is 3 single crochet and a decrease repeated 6 times. At the end of round 15, we're just going to stop because we're first going to add the safety eyes and then we're going to stuff the head. With your head, what you want to do is make sure it's positioned correctly before you insert the safety eyes. Back in round 3, we did 3 single crochet, 3 increase, and we repeated that twice. So our 2 groups of increases should be on the side here. This just gives the head a more oval shape than a rounded shape. You want to make sure those increases from round 3 are on the sides here. And when you've got those positioned correctly, you can insert the safety eyes on the front of the head. We're going to place our safety eyes between rounds 9 and 10, 6 stitches apart. I'm going to count out from round number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and here's 10. And that's about in the center, and I'm just going to count my stitches out. 2, 3, place this one here. And then when that first one's in, I'm going to count 6 stitches out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then in the 7th I'm placing my second eye, and that will give me 6 stitches between the 2. And after that I'm just going to pop the backs on. And now I can start adding some stuffing. When the stuffing's added, we're going to continue on with round 13, which is 2 single crochet, 1 decrease repeated 6 times. Round 14 is 1 single crochet, 1 decrease repeated 6 times. And just before we finish the final round, I'm going to add a little bit more stuffing. Just understuffed a little bit before. And then our final round, round 15, is just 6 decreases. When you've finished round 15, what you'll need to do is leave a fairly long tail at the end here, because we're actually going to use this tail to sew the head onto the body later on. So I'm going to cut that fairly long to give myself enough yarn to work with. And then I don't know why I put the stitch marker in the last round. I don't need it. I think it's just force of habit. What we're going to do first is take our long tail and just close up this little hole. Once you've thread the tail through your needle, you're going to insert your needle under the front loop of each of the last 6 stitches. Starting from behind the front loop, you're going to push it under. You're going to push it under and forward towards you, and do this for all 6 stitches. 1 and then 6, and just pull on that yarn and the hole will close up. We're going to leave this as it is for now, and we're going to go on and do the next piece. And the next piece that I'm going to crochet is the mouth. We begin that with a 6 single crochet in a magic circle. For round 2, we're going to start by doing an increase. That's 1 and 2 single crochet in the same stitch. In the next stitch, I'm going to do a half double crochet increase. I'm going to start by doing 1 half double crochet, which means I need to yarn over first. Then I'm going to go into the stitch, yarn over again and pull through. And now I should have 1, 2, 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. That was my first half double crochet. I'm going to do a second in the same stitch. And that's my half double crochet increase complete. I'm then going to do 2 more single crochet increases. 1 and 2 in the same stitch. And then 2 single crochet in the next stitch. In the 5th stitch, I'm going to do another half double crochet increase, and again that's 2 half double crochet in the same stitch. And I'm just going to finish round 2 by doing a single crochet increase in the last stitch. Round 3 is our final round of the mouth, and we're just going to do 12 single crochet. And you're just going to cut the yarn and leave enough that you'll be able to sew the mouth on later. Next up, I'm going to crochet the ears, and for that we're going to start with a slip knot. What did I do there? Okay, let's try that again. I'm going to start with a slip knot and chain 2, 1 and 2. In the second chain from the hook, which is the first chain that we made, we're going to do an increase. 1 and 2 in the same stitch. For row 2, I'm going to chain 1, turn my work and do 2 increases. An increase in the first stitch, as well as an increase in the second stitch. Both rows 3 and 4 are chain 1, turn your work and 4 single crochet across. 2, 3 and 4, and then row 4 is the same, chain, turn and 4 single crochet. For row 5, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work, and then we're going to start with a single crochet 2 together. To crochet that, go into the first stitch, yarn over and pull through. From here, go straight into the second stitch, yarn over and pull through again, and now you should have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops. We're going to do a single crochet 2 together across the last 2 stitches of this row as well. Go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, go into the last stitch, yarn over, pull through, have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Row 6 is our final row. We're going to chain 1, turn our work and just single crochet 2 together. To finish off the ear, we're going to single crochet around the outside of the entire piece. You're going to work into the end of each row, so I'm going to insert my hook into here, and just single crochet. Jump down to the next row, single crochet, and just repeat this all the way down the side, across the bottom here, and then back up to the top. I'll also be working over this tail end from my slip knot just to secure that, but if you would prefer, what you can do is weave that in through the backs of your stitches. When you've finished single crocheting around the edge, just cut a short tail. I'm going to get rid of this excess from my slip knot too. And then you'll need to crochet a second ear. And after that, we're going to go on and crochet the horns. Round 1 of the horns is 4 single crochet in a magic circle. Round 2 is 1 single crochet, then 2 increases in a row, and then 1 single crochet. And then round 3, which is the last round for our horns, is just 6 single crochet. And that's it for the horns. We're going to need to make 2 of those as well. What we're going to crochet now is the body of our cow, but to make that we actually start by crocheting all the legs separately, and then we crochet those together to create the body. I've made 3 of my legs so far, and I'm going to need to make a 4th. Just set those down. We're going to start off in our hoof color, and for that I've chosen to use black. And we begin by putting 6 single crochet in a magic circle. And 6. Round 2 is 6 increases. Round 3 is worked entirely into the back loop, and the back loop is the part of the stitch that's furthest away from us. And in those back loops we're going to do 12 single crochet. I've done the first 11 single crochet in the back loop, and I'm about to do the 12th, and on the 12th I'm going to change color. I'm going to go into that 12th stitch, or 12th back loop, yarn over and pull through, so I have 2 loops on my hook. And at this point I'm going to drop my black yarn, or the hoof color, whatever color you're using. You're going to bring in the body color, you're going to line this new color up behind the 2 loops, then yarn over with it and pull through the 2 loops on your hook. And that's how we change color. For the rest of my cow, I'm not going to be changing color. I'm just going to do all of my cow in this light coffee colored brown. However, if you would like to add color changes to your cow similar to this little guy here, you can do that. You just need to change color in the same manner we've done here. You can do that starting with the legs. You can put a color change patch in each of the legs, or you can save that for just the body. It's up to you. You can change up the look of your cow by doing it different ways. For round number 4, we're going to do 3 single crochet, 1 increase repeated 3 times, and we'll be doing that in our new color. I'll also be working over the end of my black yarn here to secure that. After round 4, we should have 15 stitches in our round now, and rounds 5, 6 and 7 are each 15 single crochet. But what you can do if you find it easier is just to do 45 single crochet consecutively. When you've finished round 7, you're going to leave for this first leg a fairly long tail for sewing. And then you're going to go on and crochet 3 more. When you've completed round number 7 of each of your legs, we're going to do something slightly different for each of them. With the first one we made, which is this one here, we left a fairly long tail. I'm just going to set that one aside for now. With the other three, for two of them, you're also going to cut a tail, but this doesn't need to be quite as long. You can cut a shorter tail because we're only going to use that to sew 3 stitches. With the last one, I've cut the tail and I've weaved it in through the backs of the stitches here to hide it because we don't need a tail end for this one. When all of that's complete, you're going to grab the one that has the tail weaved in, and you're going to grab one of the ones that has a shorter cut tail. The one with the longest tail, set that aside because we're going to attach that one last. We've cut that longer tail just as a bit of a security measure in case we need to do any additional sewing. So we're taking the one that doesn't have a tail end and one of the ones that has a shorter tail end. For this next part, what I'm probably going to do is use multiple stitch markers in different colors just to give you a visual representation of what I'm doing. I think it'll make it a little bit easier because this part can get a little bit confusing. Basically what we're going to do is sew each of the legs together for 3 stitches. So I'm going to sew these 2 together for 3 stitches, and then when I bring in the other legs, I'm going to sew that one to the first one for 3 stitches, and then the same with this one. We're going to sew them to each leg for 3 stitches, but we'll worry about the first 2 only to begin with. What I'm going to do is grab this leg where I've weaved in the end, and I'm going to place a stitch marker somewhere. It doesn't really matter where you place it because this is a round piece. There's no actual front and back. Once you've placed the first stitch marker, count out 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and then in the 4th, you're going to place the second stitch marker. So this gives me a stitch marker, 3 free stitches in between, and a second stitch marker. What I'm then going to do is grab the stitch that I used to mark the start of my round, and I'm going to place that next to the second yellow stitch marker that I put in. This stitch is what we're going to be working into when we start the body. We're going to reinsert our hook, attach our yarn, and continue crocheting from there. So that stitch marks the start of that round, the first round of the body. I'm then going to grab one of the legs that has the shorter yarn tail, and I'm going to do the same with this one using my stitch markers as I did with the yellow stitch markers on the first. I'm going to insert a stitch marker. I'm going to count out 3 stitches, 1, 2, and 3, and then in the 4th, I'm going to place my second stitch marker. Once more, that's going to give me a stitch with a stitch marker in it, 3 free stitches, and then another stitch marker. At this point, you're going to take the tail end, you're going to thread that through your needle, and then what we're going to do is line up the 3 free stitches in between. So we're going to line up our stitch markers, 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, and we should have 3 free stitches in between. There is, if I bring this up nice and close, free stitch there matches the free stitch here, free stitch there matches this one here, free stitch here matches the last one here. We're going to sew these free stitches together. I'm going to go around through the first free stitches, and I'm going to go around twice just so it's nice and secure. From there, I'm going to jump down to the second stitches, and I'm going to sew those together. Do that twice. I'm pulling nice and firmly, and then 3 times. When I've sewed that third stitch together, I'm going to weave this end in through the backs of my stitches. I'm just going to work down the side. Tuck the end back into the leg. So So that is the first 2 legs sewn together for 3 stitches. At this point, I'm going to take out the 2 stitches at the back of my piece. These 2 legs are going to be the hind legs or the back legs, and this is going to be where I start the body from. I'm going to take out the 2 stitch markers next to that. This yellow one here, and then this red one here. On the inside of my piece, where the belly is going to be, I'm going to leave these 2 in. So I'm going to set that aside for now. I'm going to pick up my second leg that had the shorter tail. So the shorter tail one was this one here. We sewn that together. We're going to use the second one at this point. We're going to insert some new stitch markers. So for this part, I'll be using green. And we're going to separate them like we've done for the previous 2 legs. You're going to put 1 stitch marker in, count 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and then in the 4th is where we place our second. And again, I have 3 free stitches in between. I'm going to take this leg and I'm going to thread the tail end through my needle again. And then I'm going to line this leg up with my yellow stitch marker. This time it's going to be slightly different from when we did these 3 stitches here, because I want to line up the first free stitch. Where am I? My yarn's a bit twisted. My first free stitch here with the yellow stitch marker. So on this piece where our 2 legs are already sewn together, the stitch next to the yellow one here has been sewn, which leaves this as a next free stitch. And because we don't want to leave any stitches free in the middle, we're going to need to sew this one. You're going to take that yellow stitch marker and line it up with the free stitch next to the green one. Where's my yarn gone? Okay, there we are. Getting a little bit tangled. So I know which stitch I need to work into, so I'm going to take out my yellow stitch marker. I'm going to work straight into that stitch where I just took out my yellow stitch marker, and from there I'm going across back to the first free stitch after my green stitch marker in the 3rd leg. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to sew these stitches together. I've just gone through my stitch marker. I didn't want to do that. So around again. Then I'm going to jump down to the second free stitch between my green stitch markers and into the next stitch down from my second leg. So the stitch after where the yellow stitch marker was. Sew those together twice. And then I'm going to jump down 1 more stitch, which is the last free stitch, the one before my second green stitch marker, and the second one after my yellow stitch marker. Sewing those together, and that is 3 stitches sewn together there, and I'm just going to weave this tail end into the backs of my stitches again. At this point I can take out my green stitch marker that's on the outside of the leg. So I've still got my blue stitch marker here. That should be at the bottom behind the 2 hind legs. And I'm going to take out this one on the side. Now the final leg, the one that should have had the longest tail, we're going to need to sew for 6 stitches. We're going to sew 3 stitches here and 3 stitches here. And like we used the yellow stitch marker in the middle here previously, we're going to use these 2 stitch markers as a guide. So the red and the green each mark the next free stitch on these 2 legs. Future editing Lena here with a quick interruption. For some reason, part of this footage, something happened to it. I don't know what. It was 1 part rainbow, 1 part grey, and it was glitchy and the sound went staticky. I've never seen that before, so I don't know what the hell happened, but it was weird. So that part's unusable. Thankfully, all we have left to do is sew the remaining 4th leg to the other 3. And you're going to do that by sewing it for 3 stitches to the third leg and 3 stitches to the first leg, making sure not to leave any stitches in between in the middle. To help with this, I just threw together a quick, crude little graphic to represent how we're going to sew them together because I don't have the footage. So you can see on the screen, we've joined the 2 back legs together for the 3 yellow stitches, and the little blue circle represents where we put our stitch marker. Then we joined the third leg to the second leg for 3 stitches again. This is represented by the 3 green circles on each of those legs. And now we're going to do the part for which I no longer have usable footage, and that's to bring in the 4th leg. You're going to join the 4th leg to the 3rd leg for 3 stitches, and this is represented by the 3 little orange circles on each of the legs in my diagram. And after that, you're going to sew the 4th leg to the 1st leg for 3 stitches again, and this is represented by the 3 purple stitches of each of those legs. Looking at this graphic, you can see there's no little black stitches right in the middle, so we haven't left any free there, and that theoretically should give us 9 stitches on the outside of each leg. But I buggered up again, it's just been one of those days, and when I made these circles, I didn't realize that I had only 14 stitches in them, or 14 little circles which represent the stitches, instead of 15. I could have sworn there was 15. I counted and I got 15, so apparently I have worse counting skills than my 4-year-old niece. But for what I'm trying to illustrate here, that doesn't matter too much because the main focus here is the little color stitches, getting those to line up. However, if you're going to use this as a guide for the next step, crocheting the first round of the body, just know that on the outside of each leg, where I've got the black circles or the black stitches, there should be 9 there. Currently in my little crude graphic, I have 8. There should be 9, but I buggered that up and I don't have time to make this graphic again. Despite my couple of screw ups, I hope that this was helpful, and now we're going to get back to the rest of the tutorial. Essentially, we've just sewn each leg to the one next to it for 3 stitches. So this one's been sewn to this leg and this leg for 3 stitches here, 3 stitches here. Same as this one, it's been sewn to this leg and this leg for 3 stitches here, 3 stitches there. When you've sewn them all together, you may end up with a little hole right in the middle of your cowl. This is the second reason that we cut an extra long tail on that first leg. We're just going to sew that up with the yarn that is still on our needle, just weaving my needle back towards that little hole, working my way through the backs of the stitches of my leg. And then I'm just going to put a couple of stitches in there to close that up. And then when that hole is closed, we can now weave this end in to secure it. Now that the legs are all joined together, we're going to continue crocheting in each of them to create the body. We're going to start where our blue stitch marker is, or where my blue stitch marker is. I'm going to insert my hook in there, and I'm just going to take that out for a moment. I'm going to bring in my body color yarn. I'm going to line that up behind my hook, yarn over and pull through. I'm going to do a slip stitch to join, and then into that same stitch I'm going to do 1 single crochet, and I'm going to pop my stitch marker back in here because that's going to mark the start of my round. For round 1 of the body, we're going to do 36 single crochet. With each of our legs, when they were separate, we finished with 15 single crochet in each. Because we've sewn them together to each other for 6 stitches, that's going to leave us with 9 single crochet in each leg. We're going to do 9 single crochet in the first, 9 in the second, 9 in the third, and then 9 in the fourth, which in total gives us our 36. If you followed along with what I did with my stitch markers, we should have 8 stitches to crochet in this first leg here, because the 9th is just behind the stitch marker there. We're going to start with 8 in the first leg. We're then going to do 9 in the second, 9 in the third, 9 in the fourth, and then finally 1 more back in the first leg. Keep in mind you've already done stitch number 1 because that is where our stitch marker is. We're going to do 7 more. Once you've done the 8 single crochet in the first leg, we're going to skip over the stitches that are joined. You may be able to see the yarn joining them together there. That's it. So these two here we want to skip. You're going to jump over those to the next free stitch, and then we're going to single crochet 9 times in this second leg. And 9 again, when we get to this joining section, we want to skip over the stitches that are sewn together and single crochet into the next free one. And we're again going to be doing 9 single crochet in this leg. And 9, skipping the joined stitches or the sewn stitches into the next free one. And we'll be doing 9 single crochet into this last leg, 2 and 9. Finally, we're going to jump over the last join and single crochet 1 into the remaining free stitch on the first leg. And that gives us our 36 single crochet. That was round 1 of the body. Both rounds 2 and 3 are also 36 single crochet, but they're going to be a little bit easier because we don't have to worry about skipping over those joined sections. Round 4 of the body is 4 single crochet, 1 decrease, repeated 6 times. Round 5 is 30 single crochet. At the end of round 5, we're just going to stop and begin adding some stuffing to the legs. When the legs have been stuffed, we're going to continue on with round 6 of the body, and in round 6 is where we actually start the back. To make it a little bit easier to understand, I'm actually going to break up the round 6 pattern into parts A, B and C. Round 6, part A is 8 single crochet. And 8. Round 6 part B is to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And what I'm going to do is put a stitch marker in both chain number 6 and also chain number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I thought I got that wrong. Chain number 1. From here, we're going to jump straight across to the other side, and we're going to single crochet 10. The easiest way to find which stitch you need to work into is to start at the end of the round, the stitch next to your stitch marker, and count out 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. If you'd like to mark your place, you can put a stitch marker here as well, but I'm just going to put my finger on top of it. From here, you're going to bring your hook over and make sure this chain doesn't twist, and you want to go into that 10th stitch and single crochet. And then we're going to single crochet 9 more, or 10 in total. We've done 1, 2, and 10. Now after round 6, with our 8 single crochet, our 6 chains and our 10 single crochet, we have 24 stitches in total to work with. Round 7 is going to be 2 single crochet, 1 decrease, repeated 6 times, but we're going to have to work some of that across the chain. I'll begin by doing 2 single crochet and a decrease, and my second 2 single crochet and a decrease, and that takes up the first 8 stitches I did in round 6 part A, which means for the next 6 stitches I'm going to have to work across my chain. And this is the reason why I put the stitch markers in, so I can see where I need to work. The first single crochet needs to go where this first yellow stitch marker is. That's going to be 1 single crochet. And as you work across this chain, you can work into the back loops or the front loops or both loops, doesn't really matter. And then I'm going to do another single crochet in the next chain down. And then across the next 2 chains, I'm going to do a decrease. And if you find an invisible decrease to be a little bit too hard to do across this chain, you can single crochet 2 together instead. That may be easier to crochet. That's 4 of the chains that I've worked across. I'm going to single crochet across the next 2, 1, and then my final single crochet across the chain is going to go where my other yellow stitch marker is, and 2, and then for the rest of the round we're just going to continue working in the body again. So we're going to decrease, need to go in the front loop, not the back loop, decrease, and I'm just going to continue doing 2 single crochet, 1 decrease for the rest of the round. Round 8 is 1 single crochet, 1 decrease, repeated 6 times. Round 9 is the final round of the body, and it's just 6 decreases. When you've finished round 9, you're just going to cut a short tail, and before we weave this in, we're going to finish stuffing the body. And then we're just going to close up this hole the same way that we did the hole for the head. Close that up, and then we're just going to weave this in. Alrighty, everything is crocheted now. We can start putting our cows together. The first thing we're going to do is attach the head to the body. And the head just sits directly on top of this little space here. And we're going to sew that on. But first we need to get this tail end that we've left in position. So you want to thread your needle with the long tail we left. And then you're going to sit the head on the body. And you're going to push your needle out from where it is in the center here to line up with the edge of the body. It doesn't matter where you can go to the front, you can go to the back of the head. We're going to push the needle out of a round that lines up with the body. So I'm going to go about there, that lines up at the back here. When that's done, we can just drop that for the moment, and then you're going to pin the head in place. You want to center it at the front here and make sure it all lines up nice. And I'm just going to grab our pins. And then just before I start sewing, I'm going to check and make sure that my head is in the proper position, and also that my needle is, which I've gone 1 round too high, I think, so I'm just going to push my needle down a little bit further. And then when everything's all aligned, you're good to go, you can begin sewing. We're going to sew on the mouth next, and with the mouth in round 2, we did those half double crochet increases. They should be on either side. So when you place the mouth on the body, they should be here and here off to the side. You can also place just a little bit of stuffing in the mouth. You don't need too much. That's probably too much, so I'll halve that. I'm going to pop that in, and then you're just going to pin that between the eyes towards the bottom of the eyes. And when that's pinned in place, you can sew that on. After the mouth, we're going to attach the horns, and the horns curve out slightly in round 2. We did those, whoop, that's all right, I got it. In round 2, we did those increases. They sit on the outside of the horns. So for this one, the increase is going to sit here, and for the one I'm going to do on the other side, the increases will sit on the outside here. I'm going to place the inside part of these between rounds 2 and 3. So this is between rounds 2 and 3 here. I'm just going to place that there. And then before I sew on this one, I'm going to place the second one on as well, just in case I need to make any adjustments to them, because I would like them to be symmetrical. And I think that looks pretty good, so I'm going to sew those on now. And then after the horns, we're going to attach the ears. With the ears, before I sew them on, I'm actually going to fold them in half. So I'm going to press the end together, and I'm just going to sew the sides of the very end together like this. You don't have to do this. I just like the way the ears look when they're folded at the base there. When that's done, I'm going to pin them directly below the horns. And when both of the ears are pinned in place, sew those on. After all the pre-crocheted stuff is attached, we're going to add the tail. And to do that, you're just going to grab your hook and your yarn, and you're going to insert your hook into the back here, just towards the end where the tail would usually sit. You're going to grab your yarn, line it up behind your hook, yarn over, pull through, and then slip stitch to join. And I'm just going to begin chaining. You can chain as many as you like. Obviously, the more chains you do, the longer your tail is going to be. There we go. What's that? I've chained 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I'm going to chain once more, and then I'm going to work, starting in the second chain from the hook, I'm going to work back down the chain until I reach the body again. Last one. I'm going to cut the yarn, and I'm just going to weave both ends, both the end that I've just finished with here as well. Oops, that didn't work very well. As well as the end from where I joined the yarn. I'm going to weave those both into the body. Bit cheaty, but that sort of fixed it. Okay, I'm going to weave these in now. And as a finishing touch, what I'm going to do is just take some of the offcuts from my hoof colour. I'm going to fold those in half and take the closed end, and I'm going to attach that to the base of the tail. I'm going to insert my hook right into the end of my chain here. I'm going to put the closed end of the loop on my hook, pull that through only about halfway, and then I hope this is long enough, and then you're going to pass the open end. So you've got two ends, you're going to pass those through the closed end. Come on. Yes, they were just long enough. So pass them through the loop and then pull those ends and tighten that up. And I'm going to do that probably 3 or 4 times. When you've got all your little tail hair or fur, whatever it is, in place, you can cut that to the desired length. I'm just going to leave it like that. You can even brush it out, but I'm not going to do that because I've used cotton yarn here, and that doesn't brush out quite as well as acrylic tends to do, or even wool. So I'm just going to leave that as is, but I'm going to pull the threads apart a little bit to give it the appearance of fur. And then the final thing I'm going to do is just add some nostrils. So I'm going to thread my needle with black yarn. I'm going to insert my needle into the head somewhere, doesn't matter where, and I'm going to push that out through the mouth or nose section where I want the first nostril to be. Once I've got that in place, I'm going to pull my needle out, and I'm going to keep pulling until I leave just a little bit of black yarn hanging outside the body here. You want this to be long enough that you're able to tie a knot with it. I'm going to go 1 stitch down. That's how wide my nostril is going to be. And I'm going to push my needle across to where the second nostril will be. So I'm going to pull that nice and tight so the first nostril lays flat. I'm then going to insert the needle down 1 stitch to make the second nostril, and from this point I'm going to go straight back out of my original stitch that I worked into, where my little tail piece is still hanging. So I'm going to push my needle out there, and I'm going to pull that firmly too. Tighten that up. Once that's done, all I need to do is tie these off nice and tightly. Snip off the excess yarn, and I'm going to push that knot back into the body. You can also use your crochet hook for this if you would like. You can add some additional details to your little cow if you would like. So for example, on this one here, I've added some little blush patches on the cheeks. I've added some detail to the eyes. It's up to you how in depth you go with it. But with that all done, our little cows are finally complete. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I will see you next time with a new pattern.